us now from Capitol Hill, Republican presidential candidate Senator Lindsey Graham of South Carolina. Good to have you back on the show. And Joe, he's destroyed his cell phone. There's no way to get in touch with him now.
It's impossible. Lindsey, a fun video yesterday that we played this morning. I do wonder, though, are you uncomfortable with so much of this Republican primary being about Donald Trump and Trump insults, Trump being insulted, Trump responding to insults, people responding to insults from Trump's insults back to their insults? I mean, how much of a crowding out process is this on issues that people in South Carolina, Iowa, New Hampshire really want to hear about?
Well, Joe, I think if you're making the point that we should be talking about something other than my phone number, good point. Look at the polling in these swing states with Hillary. She's eminently beatable. The only way we're going to lose this election is to continue to say things like Donald Trump is saying and having people like me respond endlessly. So the phones were stunt phones. The original phone is in good shape. I'll put it in the Smithsonian. But yeah, let's talk about the issues. The Iran nuclear deal. Should we have a $15 an hour minimum wage? How do you secure your border? How do you fix immigration? And, you know, Donald Trump is a great showman. That's why all these companies hired him to sell their products. There's a reason, Joe, that all these companies are firing him, because he's become toxic as a presidential candidate. I hope we all understand that on the Republican side.
Do you agree with Bill Kristol that there's a sell-by date on Donald Trump and that he may have already peaked?
Yeah, I think he's sort of a political car wreck where people slow down and watch. When he crossed the line with John McCain and other veterans, that was the beginning of the end. But, you know, at the end of the day, we got a great chance of winning this election. It's a great country. I don't believe that most of the illegal immigrants are rapists and drug dealers, and I don't think John McCain's a loser. I think the deal with Iran is bad, coming from a weak president. And at the end of the day, I hope we move on, because if we don't, we're going to blow the last best chance we'll ever have to win the White House.
Hey, can I ask you to respond to what Marco Rubio said about the president? And I hate this, you know, respond to this Republican or respond to that Republican. So let me I'll ask you differently, and we won't play that game because I hate that game as much as you do, I'm sure. Do you think the president has class? Do you think he's a man of dignity? Do you think he's a good father, a good husband, a good friend? A good person.
Without any doubt, I believe that Barack Obama and Michelle Obama are good parents. I think they have set a tone as a family that we should all respect. I think he's sincere. I think he has misjudged the Mideast. I think his economic and national security policies are not working. I don't question his patriotism. I don't question his love of country. I question his policies. And to Marco and everybody else, it's not about him as much as it is about us. And when you look at us, what do you see?
Amen.
If you see Donald Trump, you're going to go somewhere else. If you see a optimistic but realistic view of the future, I think we got a shot.
So I'm curious as to what you think about potentially not having a place in the debates. We had a pretty interesting conversation with...
I think it sucks.
Yeah.
I think it sucks.
I think it does, too. I really do.
Yeah, me too. Me and you agree on something. That's news.
We found it, Lindsey. But seriously, potentially we're going to lose some key voices in the race.
For no good reason.
For no good reason. And I just wonder, what's the solution? Because it seems like Fox wants good television, obviously. They want ratings. But they're actually manipulating a little bit, either by default or purposefully, the shape of the race.
Yeah, I think so. I think, well, the RNC is not, they're not helpless here.
No.
I mean, it is our party. You know, CNN and Fox have come up with a criteria to get in the debate that I think is silly. If my numbers go up, it's because I call Donald Trump a jackass. I mean, that's not why I want to rise in the polls.
Right.
The bottom line is I think the criteria in July of 2015 makes no sense. You're testing celebrity and name ID. Give us all a chance early on to make our case. I'm not worried about how you manage a TV debate. I'm worried about how you pick a nominee.
Right.
Let's listen to people who've got a real wide breadth of experience experience, including Donald Trump, and make an informed decision. To the RNC, you're not bound by this. You're not helpless in this endeavor. You can say no if you'd like.
Yeah, and I'd like to say that if it goes as planned, please, and you're not a part of the debates for whatever reason, please come on Morning Joe the next day. We will ask you the same questions and give you some sort of equal time here. It's ridiculous. It does not seem fair. We'll call. Do you have a phone number? John Howland, you got a question?
Senator Graham, I want to just go to substance for a second. We had a piece of reported a little piece of news just a few minutes ago about how the White House thinks that it has a plan now to try to actually finally close Guantanamo Bay, and that they believe there's a way to get bipartisan support for that. To the extent you know anything about their plan, what do you think of it, and what do you think of the general prospect for the closure of that facility?
Over 3 years ago, I met with the president personally about this. I don't object to moving the prisoners within the United States if they're in the Department of Defense's control and we have a law of war regime, not a criminal process surrounding their detention. But he's got to come up with a plan that shows us where they're going to go and under what legal theory they will be held. His biggest problem is he hasn't led on this. If he'll come up with a plan, I would be glad to look at it. I've always embraced closing Gitmo if you do it the right way.
Senator, on another news front, Secretary Carter just landed about an hour ago in Baghdad, sort of a surprise stop in that theater of war.
Yeah.
Last week, because of all the Trump news and all the political news, we sort of brushed over as a country in the news business the fact that the United States has just sold some more F-16s to Iraq and several hundred MRAP vehicles, up-armored vehicles. In light of the fact that we have lost so many of them to ISIS as the Iraqi army has collapsed on us, especially the MRAPs, what would your thinking be now on inserting more American troops as part of our strategy?
Well, I think we need more American troops, according to the people that I rely upon. The architect of the surge, General King, said that about 10,000 troops would change the tide of battle. We have 3,500. That would give us more special forces capability to go after ISIL leadership, forward air controllers to drop bombs on the right spot, a couple aviation battalions to change the tide of battle where we could use American attack helicopters. But I share your concern about more equipment. I hope we haven't left an instruction manual in the F-16 and the MRAPs, because if we don't shore up the Iraqi security forces, they're going to collapse again. So we need more boots on the ground for a purpose. About 10,000, I think, would do a better job than the 3,500.
All right, Senator Lindsey Graham, thank you very much for joining us.